Oh my god, I'm upside down. Hold on. This can't be right. We need to fix it. We need to fix it so that it's proper. Still not proper? You know what? You don't get to see me today. You don't get to see me. That's it. Skin privileges taken away. You don't need to see me anyway because I'm going to show you a lot of other videos. There's much stuff happening today. From the Canadian Parliament nominating apparently an SS member, giving them a standing ovation, to the fact that men are obsessed with the Roman Empire. And we're also going to go to a woman complaining about the gym. This seems to be a new vector of oppression for women everywhere. It's the fact that they cannot dress any way they want at the gym. So I'll wait for more people to join the video, but there's this lady which is walking around on her underwear, and she's upset. It's like, well, why are people? And the thing is, I never actually get to see it happen. Like, I'm told that it exists. Like, women dress provocatively, and for some reason, men give them the look. But I genuinely, like, don't see it. And I'm pretty sure, like, if they could, they would definitely show it, because that would give views. But for some reason, like, we just hear that it's happening, but we never get to see it. But I did give her that excellent tweet, that excellent ratio. I understand, like, on Twitter, it's very important to give the ratio. And I believe that I did. So when we get like 100 people in the chat, we'll go with that video. That map plus the rest of Europe is what they want the EU to look like. No, because like the European Union wants to expand in Africa now. Like despite the fact that it's called the European Union, if you read what they are saying, they're basically wanting to call themselves the Union, and they want to expand themselves in Africa. It's like a really bad plot from a dystopian sci-fi movie. Like, the Union is governing the earth. Like, oh, okay. Women think about the Ostrogoths or Victorian England. Is that a thing, though? Do women think about Victorian England? What does my wife think about? Like, she think about, there's this show in Romania where apparently they get like a couple of bachelors and a couple of single women, and the show is about seeing them getting married. I mean, I'm not going to complain because I play video games to waste the time, but that is okay. I'm not going to say anything on air because anything I say can and will be used against me, but I think like she's thinking about that type of stuff, you know. She's thinking about work, like who said something negative at work, or maybe she went past another lady and didn't say hello to her. Like that's something that she's concerned. She's concerned with her parents' health. Yeah, I don't think she's concerned about Victorian England. I do not think like that is part of the problems and the worries that women have. Definitely not about the Ostrogoths. Is the mic working? The mic is working. All right, Jesus fucking Christ. Let's look at the thing with the gym now. You know what? We'll do it earlier. Do it a little bit earlier. All right. Where is it? Hold on. Ah, here we go. So, it is my opinion that this lady is walking around with underwear. Like, the thing is, like, no one is stopping her. But she feels that she needs to lecture people. By the way, do not contact her or send her any messages or any tweets. Like, this is not about that. This is just the fact that this is a very popular TikTok video. It's got 2.4 million views. And we're just going to discuss what we're seeing here, right? So, just a woman living in a man's world. See, this is something else that I don't understand. Women outnumber men. Like, there's more of them than there's are of us. We live in a democracy. Like, you can literally just vote for whatever you want. So I do not understand how it's a man world, right? But it is what it is. So she's living in a man world, and she's very oppressed. You can see it on her face. Um, and basically what she says is that ask your man if he's okay with you dressing in a comfortable way at the gym. Whatever it may be. If he says no, then he will be extremely controlling and restrictive. Right. So my point is that ask your girlfriend or your wife if it's okay to go to the gym alone with a woman that looks like this. And if she says no, then she's very controlling or restrictive, right? Like, it's a bullshit argument. It doesn't fly. No, any type of woman will never, unless, like, she's not interested, all right? Like, if she genuinely, like, doesn't love you, maybe, like, she has, like, already plans to end the relationship and she wants to date someone else. But, like, in most cases, women will not allow their significant others in the presence of women that look like this. And what I mean by looking like this, like if you go to the gym and you're talking to a lady that has makeup on, her boobs are visible, right? And she's wearing underwear, girlfriend or wife will be hashtag concerned. Now, if you go to the gym and you talk to a woman that doesn't wear makeup, right? Like maybe the woman at the counter, or maybe does wear makeup, but like she's not dressed in a way to attract a potential mate, then she won't be upset, right? But like you can't possibly tell me that this lady, I refuse to believe it, that this lady right here, she is not, like if she has a boyfriend or a husband, like she's not going to be concerned if he goes to the gym and speaks to other women that are dressed like that. You cannot possibly tell me with a straight face that she's okay with it. And you know what? That's not controlling behavior. I do not think, no. It's not controlling behavior at all. It's normal, healthy behavior. Like in a relationship, in fact, the other party wants to know that you care about them, and you would be jealous, right? Like imagine this. Imagine this situation. You tell your wife or your girlfriend, yeah, I'm going out today with a colleague from work. She's got like these big tits, and you show her a picture, and she's like gorgeous, 10 out of 10 waifu. And you're like, I'm going to go out. You know, like she's a colleague from work. She's just a friend. And your wife will be like, yeah, sure, why not? Have fun. Like I guarantee to you, if that happens, you will probably feel not loved. You're going to feel like, wait, like why is she allowing me to just go? Like she's not upset. She doesn't want to come with. She's not even a little bit concerned. You know, like there is a difference between being understanding and having like confidence versus being controlling. And also there's a difference between not caring at all. So basically, you know, in my situation, if I watch hentai, right, so things with cartoons, my wife just doesn't care. It's like, they're not real. She understands the situation. So it's like, all right, well, you know, you're making this type of game, but it's fine. Like, it's a business. But if I were to watch, like, with real women, she would probably care. And if I were to watch with women from my actual life, oh my God, like, that would be an argument, right? Like if she were to walk into my room and I were to have, like, the Facebook open and it's a girl that, you know, like, I actually know from real life, yeah, that would be grounds for a big fight. Probably even like talking about separation at that point. And I understand it, right? Like if it wasn't like that, then I would be concerned. Holy shit, Alex King, thank you so much. Thank you for the constant buyer support. I really appreciate it, Alex King. I was genuinely doing poorly this month with my finances because my toilet broke. And I had to replace it. It is what it is. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Came at a good time. We should make like the Arabs and really make it a man's world. Yeah, like see, that's the thing. But even when you look at very conservative Islamic nations, right, like hardcore theocracies, where women aren't even allowed to leave their home without a male guardian, where they have to cover up head to toe, where there's like separate places for men and women at the Starbucks. If that happens, you will notice that women still are some of the people that try to enforce this culture. Like there was this lady, created a massive scandal because she defected the United Kingdom, went to ISIS, and she stayed there for a couple of years, I think, not months. And then she wanted to come back, right? And she was pretending initially in her arguments that she was just a victim, that she didn't know what she was doing. And then it turns out that she was an enforcer, right? Like she was a person that would go to other women and enforce dress code standards. I mean, apparently, like she was really brutal about it as well, according to eyewitnessing accounts. So it's interesting because and you can see this even in Iran. They had like this massive protest where women would take off their hijab. So it was like I think it was like White Wednesday or something they called it, where like all women walked without hijabs. And what's interesting, you'd see men walking on the street and seeing a woman without a hijab, and they would be smiling, right? But then you would see other women with hijabs, and they were absolutely scornful. Like, they were like, you put the hijab right back on, or I'll call the cops. And it was like, okay, so even in a man's world, women still enforce the culture. So I do not believe that it's a man's world or a woman's world. I definitely think that it's a correlation. Like, think about it. Women are the ones that educate the children, right? Like, who educates the men? Especially, like, in religious theocracies and in places like Saudi Arabia and stuff. Like, most men are at work the entire day, right? Because you only have one income. So if the woman stays at home, the man needs to work for two people. So he's busy working all day. Who's educating the kids? So if you're telling me that it's a man's world, no, I disagree. It's not a man's world. It's not a woman's world. Men and women are working together, right? Like, they're completing each other. I refuse to believe that. I mean, maybe there are a couple of cultures where you can say it's a woman's world. I'm not going to say because my racismus, but there are certain cultures. Like if you have a culture where, let's say, you know, the men are definitely expendable, and they just have to pay child support, and you don't want them around the kids at all. And you have like single moms that have like 3 baby daddies, and they all give money and child support every month. In that situation, yeah, I would say that's a matriarchy. So it does exist. Like, in that situation, you can say it's a woman's world. Because, like, the children do not have any role model that's male. They're raised by their moms, right? So it's a different way of doing things, let's put it like that. See, it depends on the culture. I don't think, like, men are totally expendable in every culture. Like, think about it this way. A lot of people have asked me, what does it mean to be a man, right? Because it's like the question, what is a woman? I don't know the answer to that, but I know the answer of what is a man, to the point that even a leftist understands. And my answer, a man is a person that if it would stop existing tomorrow, so like if you die in a car crash or something, there would be people whose lives were affected because of your absence. And by affected, I mean like close to ruination, right? Because they're depending on you. So basically, a boy, right, like a child, is a person who other people take care of him. So, like, you're before puberty, right? You need mommy and daddy to take care of you. And they take you out to McDonald's. And you're making a commercial that makes leftists livid on Twitter. But basically, like, you have other people taking care of you. That's not a man, okay? That's a boy. But then you become independent. Like, you start getting a job. You move out of your parents' home. That's when you become a young adult. And when you become a young adult, you're independent. But that's still not a man. A man is when you start, and not necessarily like start a family. But a man is when you take another human being in your care. And not only that you're working for yourself, but you're providing for others. And that's when you become a man. So like at that point, if you stop existing, the person that you're providing for is going to be a dipshit. Because now they're going to have to think how to provide for themselves. And it can also be like, it doesn't have to be necessarily a girlfriend or a wife, but like, if you go home and you have like a mom that's sick and you take care of her, that's a manly thing to do, right? Like taking care of your own family. Like your mother is sick, your father is sick, and you go and you take care of them. That's manly. If you take care of your girlfriend or your wife, right? That's also manly. If you take care of your children, that's manly. So that is what a man is. And I don't think it's disposable because, again, the definition of a man is that if you stop existing, then those people will have it worse. Now, it's true that there are governments that make it very difficult to be a man. right? So if the government makes it so that your taxes go to pay for other people, and those people don't need your help anymore because like the government pays for them, like it takes your taxes and gives it to them, yeah, it's hard to be a man in that situation. But again, I do not flinch on my definition. Hi V, hope your day is good. Rome is on my mind. Oh, Rome is on my mind too, brother. It's been there for I think since I started YouTube, I've been thinking about Rome a lot. If your wife is upset over Facebook, that is bad. No, it wouldn't be that she's upset over Facebook. If she catches me masturbating over a woman that we know, like from real life, I think that's her upset. The Facebook is just like the medium. Like it's just like the visualization, I guess. Instead of Facebook, it can be even a picture, a catalog, while I'm talking to another woman on the phone. You know, like that. It doesn't really matter. Like Facebook is just an example. When you said take care of them, oh, my mastery of the English language is quite weak. Me no speaky. When you provide support for them, let's put it like this. No, I didn't get caught. I was explaining before you joined, Chimp, that okay, so since there's more people now, we can just cover this one more time. There's this lady which got like very popular on TikTok, 2.5 million views, and she's basically in her underwear. Like this is very difficult to describe as anything else, which is fine, you know. Like you're allowed to dress this way, and I noticed that no one is looking at her, like no one is oogling at her. But she's dressing in her underwear, and she's basically saying that ask your man if he's okay with you dressing in a comfortable way at the gym. Whatever it may be, right? So, like, even if she goes, like, with body paint, I guess, like, that should be fine. And if he says no, then he will be extremely controlling and restrictive, right? So, my counter-argument is that no woman, it's like, ask your wife or your girlfriend if you can go at the gym and stay next to a girl like this. And if she says no, then she's very controlling and restrictive, right? And as you can see, like, this is how she chooses to dress. And my point is that she would probably not allow her husband to be next to a woman like her at the gym alone, right? And I was saying, like, no, that's not being controlling and restrictive. I'm sorry. It's just common sense and the fact that she loves you. Like my wife, for example, I think, like, she's incredibly open-minded, especially for, like, a conservative Romanian woman. She doesn't mind if I were to watch hentai or, you know, like any type of cartoons. Like, that's fine, because, like, they're not real. But if I was going to start watching real people, yeah, she would be upset. And if I was to, like, actually watch people that we know from real life, like, I go on Facebook and I watch, like, actual people that I know, yeah, then she would probably have a huge fight. And I understand that. And if that doesn't happen, then I would be upset. Like imagine the opposite, right? Like you're you're telling your wife, it's like, hey, I'm going to go out with this basti chica, and I'm going to have fun, and she's like, okay. Like wouldn't that be weird? Like you'd be like, what? You're not concerned at least? Like, don't you want to come with? I'm telling you from experience, this matriarchy community is the dread on society. The women are entitled, the men are useless. Due to being raised by these women and the grandparents, which are women, allow it to continue. So I can basically point out that Christina Halfsummers, a second-wave feminist, had a really great video about this. And she basically says that the biggest problem when you have like a matriarchy society is that, as you pointed out, the men are useless, and it makes women unhappy. Right? Because women want good quality men, just like men want good quality women. Like basically, like you need a life partner that is capable of being a man, right? Like, because otherwise, like, why are women interested in men? Like the same reason men are interested in women is to complete each other. Because otherwise, you'd just be like, men would go out with other men and women would go out with other women. But like, no, like we have certain traits that the opposite gender doesn't have. And the opposite gender has traits that we don't have, and we complete each other. So like when you have a man that's like not capable, and I think Jordan Peterson says this as well in his Kathy Griffin interview. But like when you have weak men, women don't like that, right? Like they want men that know how to take care of themselves first and foremost. Like they don't want to adopt a child or a dog. Like the very least is that you should be independent. And secondly, that they want you to display the ability that you can take care of others so that when you have a child, you can take care of them. So yeah, like if men are weak, women are most affected, unironically. Like a weak man can still be happy, right? Like if you're a weak man and you sit at home and you play, I don't know, World of Warcraft every day, or what else do people play now? But if you sit at home and we watch Gargura on live streams and you just play video games and you use your pocket change money in order to buy fast food and stuff, you can have a happy life. Like there's many men that have like a happy, meaningful life like that they don't need companionship. But the women are the ones that would be unhappy if every man does that. What I've learned from the gym is that if she dresses like the one you showed, she wants to take pictures for social media, not because it's comfy. I genuinely like do not know, right? So I guess I'll have to take her word for it, but I do think you're right because I have seen other women go to the gym, and I generally like thought it's a cultural difference between Romania and the United States. But overwhelmingly, like women do not dress like that here at the gym. I just didn't see it, like maybe it happens, but I didn't go to the gym often enough, so I genuinely don't know. But it probably makes sense. I mean, honestly, I think like phones should be banned in the gyms. You shouldn't be able to have a phone in the gym. Kind of like privacy laws in Japan. Like they have a lot of private places, cafes and stuff, where they don't allow you to take pictures. Like you can take picture of your food if you want, and it's usually about asking permission. But you're not allowed to take a picture of the environment or other people and stuff. And like there have been so many accusations of men. It's like, oh my god, he's oogling at me. Oh, why is he doing this? And then she finds out that she has a television behind her or some shit. So. Like going to an inner city public pool in a string bikini. Well, I mean, this is something that I noticed, right? Men and women, they flirt differently because we're attracted to different things, right? So, like for example, a man likes to be objectified. Like if a hot woman comes up to me and she says that like she finds me handsome, she likes the way I look, I'm tall, like whatever the fuck. Men like that. Okay, but if you go to a woman and you say that you like her legs, you like that she has big tits, she doesn't like that. It's because like we're built different, right? Like we're attracted into different things. If a woman tells me that she thinks about the Roman Empire, that's attractive. If I tell a woman that I think about the Roman Empire, she's bewildered. So my point is, there are different ways that the flirting works, right? Because it's kind of like in the animal kingdom, like you notice this as well. Like a female attracts males differently than what a male does to attract a female. Like in cats, for instance, right? Like the cat goes in heat, starts meowing, and the male cats fight over her, right? It doesn't work the other way. Like a male cat, no matter how much he would meow when he is in heat, he won't attract female companionship. But anyway, right? I digress. My point is, the way women attract men is by dressing provocatively, right? Like men are visual creatures, so you have to dress in a way that's pleasing for them. The way men attract women is by sparking up conversations. So it's a little bit unfair that women can dress as provocatively as they want, but a man that approaches a woman or even looks at a woman should be illegal. So I'm just like, okay, but like, can we do something? Like, can we negotiate down to something that's acceptable for both genders? Because it seems like right now only one gender is advantaged. Like when Jordan Peterson suggested that maybe women should dress properly at the office, wear a suit and tie. Oh my god, like that was holy shit. Like how do you suggest something like that? Oh, like you want to control how women dress, do you? Oh, you misogynistic pig. But it is true, right? Like there are many places where if you go to work, if you're a man, you have to wear a suit and tie. And if you're a woman, it's a lot more casual. Like you can decide, you can choose. And this is because of the gender discrimination laws, by the way. And it's also because, like, men just don't give a fuck. Like, okay, you want me to wear a suit and tie? Fine, I'll wear a suit and tie. That's fine. But women aren't like that. Like, women don't like to be told what to wear because it's very important for them. And it's like, fine, but, like, if that's the case, it's also very important for me to be able to look around. And in Britain, they want to pass legislation. I don't know if they didn't pass it, where obsessive staring is banned. And I'm like, how do you quantify that? Like, what is obsessive staring? How long? And what if the other person just thinks that I'm staring and actually I'm thinking of something else? Or the other person thinks I'm staring at them, but in reality I'm looking at something else? There are men and women who don't think but slave away. That is true, right? Like, there are a lot of people that just go to work, go into the wage cage. They don't think about the Roman Empire. Just want to do what they're told, then come home and go to sleep so that they can work again tomorrow. The women aren't even thinking of attracting men while they're dressing. They're just copying other women. No. So there is indeed like this thing where they need to one up other women, and they usually think like, my wife thinks a lot, and I'm like, dude, just stop. But she thinks like, if I dress this way, won't I appear too rich and upset the other women, right? Like she basically like tries to maintain group harmony. But like, women do dress provocatively, not to attract men, but to attract the men that they like. Okay, so if you look at dating websites like Tinder and stuff, like, all women go for the top 5% of the men. Is those top 5% that she wants to attract. Like, she doesn't care about you. Like, she's not dressing to impress you, but she is dressing to impress Chad. Okay, and Chad is definitely impressed by a lot of women because like the competition is strong. Like, if all the women go for the top 5%, it means that Chad has like 100% of attention. So like, he's very selective and picky. Which means that, yeah, they do dress in order to attract the man. Not just any man. Alright, it's been 25 minutes. Sketch Empire wants me to go to the Roman Empire. Sketch Empire is probably new here, doesn't know that I rant a lot, and I usually like don't talk about the stuff that I put in the title. Look, Sketch, I will tell you my problem. Alright, like, you help me out. I don't know what fucking title to put on this. Right, when I make a live stream, I genuinely don't know. I need to put a title though. I can't just make it a live stream. So I need to put a fucking title. And I like, sometimes I get carried away talking about other things that are more interesting because chat asks me about them. So what do I do, Sketch? You know what? I'll just place title from now on, and I bet Sketch Therapy will come into the comment section and he will be like, why you're not talking about title? And it's like, no, but it's a placeholder. Yeah, you need to talk about the place. Why did you put title? When are you going to talk about it? Anyway, right, so the Roman Empire. There's a trend on TikTok. Let me see if I can actually find the thing. I think like Matt Walsh has a compilation of them. I'll take his. I mean, he took it from other people. It's only fair that I take it from him. So where is the Roman Empire thing? Matt Walsh, Roman Empire. Okay.
Hai să-ți arăt câte modalități de a investi găsești la exterior.
Well, I'm going to watch a commercial that's unskippable. My fucking god, this shit is turning more and more into television. And then we're going to see the trend on TikTok about the Roman Empire. Alright, another unskippable cover. 30 seconds, holy shit. Okay, it's gone. Now, let's look at the trend.
Watch.
About the Roman Empire.
How often do I think about it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess technically like every day.
Do you think about
I do think like a lot of it is fake though. Like it's TikTok, right? So like a lot of the stuff that's there is probably rehearsed. But the reason it went so popular is that there is a semblance of truth to it, so we're going to go into it in a bit.
about the Roman Empire ever?
Yeah, I guess sometimes.
How often?
I don't know. Once a week. How do you not think about the Roman Empire? Basically.
How many times?
I love this guy. Like he's backed up to a wall. It's almost like he's under interrogation and duress. Like he looks... Look, if you put a black flag behind him, it reminds me of one of those videos from the 2014, if you know what I mean. Like, all he needs is a black flag behind him, and maybe like a piece of paper that he needs to read some words. And he needs to have like a message for his family and stuff. And that's pretty much it. And maybe like some ninjas sitting behind him as well, looking menacingly. Like that. No, like seriously, if you edit this out, like if you put the green screen and you put like a big black flag behind him on a wall, and you have like two ninjas sitting to the left and right, that will give me such strong 2014 vibes.
Like a week, or just how many times in general do you think about the Roman Empire?
What about the Roman Empire?
Just anything about it.
Probably not a lot. Why?
Not a lot. When was the last time you thought about it?
Maybe a week or two ago. The Roman Empire was a very big part in history.
Someone said that this is making them hate women. Again, I genuinely think that this is being rehearsed. I do not believe that this is like just... Or maybe in this case, like maybe it is live, because I think she's live streaming, right? And she must be really popular, so this is why he's reacting like this. I mean, probably my wife would react like this as well if I just brought the phone to her and she knows like I'm live streaming to a big audience and all of a sudden I'm asking a question. So I think like this is why he's behaving this way. Like she just walked up with the phone. And this may be like a genuine video. Like this is probably one of the only ones that I don't think it's rehearsed.
So how often do you think about it?
Not a lot.
How often? Once every month?
Maybe 3 or 4 times a month.
You think about the Roman Empire once a week.
It has a lot of big, like, stories and lessons, like, within the Roman Empire of what to do and what not to do. So, yeah.
So you think about the Roman Empire once a week?
Sometimes, yeah.
How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
This dance. I don't know, every couple days.
So this has
Right, so I don't know like why anyone would look at this and hate women. Like if anything, I watched and I noticed that the women were pleasantly surprised. Like men do have interesting and compelling lives that they didn't know about. It turns out that the man you're with isn't just stupid and an imbecile. Like he actually does think about far away and interesting concepts that have far-reaching consequences, you know? But okay, so, why do men think about the Roman Empire? Matt Walsh thinks about the Wild West. That's an interesting one. But anyway, right, so I can explain what this is and why this is actually trending. Because usually when people on the internet talk about the Roman Empire, and people of all ideologies talk about the Roman Empire, it's like, why did the Roman Empire collapse, right? And usually it's interesting because the far left and the far right and everyone in between will say that America is like the Roman Empire now and it's within collapse unless they change course and they become far left, or they change course and they become far right, or, you know, like something like that. But usually like they will look at something and they will say, all right, well, this is bad, and if we don't change it, we're going to end up like the Roman Empire. So what does ending up like the Roman Empire means? It's like, what does a collapse actually mean? Well, a collapse means that it's going to be very difficult to find a job. It's going to be very difficult to support yourself. It's going to be very difficult from now on. That's what a collapse means, right? Because like when a civilization collapses, it doesn't mean that everyone dies, right? Like it's not the end of the world. It just means that there's going to be a period of brutal violence, that like there's no more government, or the government is incredibly inefficient. You're going to have gangs that roam the streets and they're the ones that enforce law. You're going to have a period of unrest, right? Like groups of people can riot and protest nonstop. And this period can last for a very long while. It can last for decades. It can last for centuries in the case of Roman Empire. But basically, like, this is what it means, a collapse. It means uncertainty. It means sometimes even famine, brutality, right? So the reason that men are more concerned about this is, like, imagine if you're a woman, right? So if you're a woman and you have, like, a period that's really bad, the war in Ukraine, perfect example, right? If you're a woman, you can leave Ukraine. Now, obviously, not everyone can. Like, not all women are rich. Some women choose not to. But the choice is there, nevertheless, right? Like if things are bad, You can just leave. Men don't have that option. Like, men are stopped at the border and they're turned to turn back. So it is a lot more difficult for a man. Now let's imagine something that is not as extreme. Let's say that you lose your job, right? If you're a woman, you can get a boyfriend that has a job. Now, it's not optimal, like you'd prefer not to, but like it's better than being on the streets, right? Men don't have that option. Like if you're a man and if you're out of a job, you can't just like get an ushikushi waifu and have her take care of you. Like that option doesn't exist for us. So obviously when you know that you're more self-reliant and all of these things that you're doing are having to be done correctly, or else you're going to have like really bad consequences, then you think of about these things more. Like for example, there's another TikTok video. It's with a black gentleman and his girlfriend, and basically you get like two vibes. You get like what he is thinking and what she is thinking. And as they're walking through the mall, the man is thinking like, oh, this guy is looking weird at me. Like he's following us. What is going on? And the woman is just like singing a song in her head, right? Like completely oblivious. And the reason for it is quite simple. If you're walking with your wife or your girlfriend and another individual comes up to rob you, the man is the one that has to defend the woman. Like that is expected by society. It's expected by her, and is the manly thing to do, right? So like, if you're in that situation, of course you're going to be more concerned. Of course you're going to be, and you know what? Like if that's the case, like if I go into the mall and my wife is just like thinking happy thoughts, well, I would be like with my eyes open to make sure that like no one robs us or whatever. I don't live in a dangerous place, but if that was the case, I would be happy, right? Because that would be my job as a man, to make the woman happy. And if she is like feeling so safe with me that she can afford to sing happy thoughts, that's great. I'm doing my job. But yes, basically, to go back to the Roman Empire, the reason men are more concerned is that the consequences for failure for a man are much more dramatic and severe than the consequences of failure for a woman. We don't have a safety net, right? Like that's literally it. That's why you have like more homeless men than homeless women. Again, the safety net is not something that anyone wants to go to. But at least it's there, right? Like again, if you're a woman and you have no job, you can always get a boyfriend that has, right? But if you're a man, good luck finding a woman that wants to take care of you. In fact, her friends are going to shame her if she makes that decision. So like if a woman wants to take care of another man who doesn't have a job, like it will be acceptable for a couple of months, but after that, like her relatives, her friends are going to be like, well, why are you with this guy? Why can't you find someone better? So anyway, let's look at the Roman Empire. Apparently Huffington Post had the take, and of course if it's the mainstream media, they're going to have like the worst take imaginable. So they got an expert into the Roman Empire, and women find themselves asking their male partners how often they think about it, and some says that they consider it every single day. Again, it's on TikTok. It's for driving views. It is highly possible that the overwhelming amount of videos where women are asking men about this are fake. And of course, the experts are very I'm actually curious if the expert takes it into account, but it's very unlikely. So, to be honest, none of the answers the men gave in their videos are satisfying to me. It has a lot of big stories and lessons. One woman partner said, what do you mean, like, wait, hold on a little bit. What do you mean, like, none of the answers that the men gave you are satisfying to you? Like, if you ask a person, why do you think about something, and they explain it, like, there is no... He's not trying to satisfy you. He's just trying to reason to you why he is thinking of it. Right? Like if I say, why are you thinking of pizza right now? And I'm like, well, because I'm interested in how peasants used to cook food, and I'm thinking that this is how they used to do it. You know, like they would put the food in an oven rather than in a microwave. If someone says, well, I'm not satisfied with that, like, what the fuck do you mean you're not satisfied? Like, I explained to you why I'm thinking about it. What you're saying is that you don't like the fact that I'm thinking about it because of that reason. But, like, that's a stupid thing. It's like, why are you concerned with what's in my head if you don't want to know the answer? Like, you're trying to manipulate me now. You want me to think of the things you want me to think of. But look how, again, like, look, these people have liberal brain rot, as it says. It's like, this man says he thinks of the Roman Empire because it has a lot of stories and lessons. And the expert says, but ancient Chinese people also have stuff. Like, why not think about that? And I'm like, I'm sorry if my train of thought isn't without borders, but the reason people think about the Roman Empire is because, like, that is the heritage of our culture, right? If we had, like, the Chinese Empire as our foundation, like, let's say, you know, people from China left and they came into the United States, I guarantee to you they would have be thinking about the Chinese Empire. It's such a dumb take. It's like, why are you thinking about your father and you're not thinking about other fathers? Like, there's fathers everywhere. Why do you think about yours? And not only that, you know, like, people usually think about what's close to their geographic era. Like, for example, Americans probably think about Wild West. Matt Walsh thinks about Wild West. I don't fucking think about the Wild West. Right? Like, I think about Romania medieval period. And it's not because, like, I don't like the Wild West or anything like that. It's simply due to the geographical area where I'm at. It's also due to the fact that this is the history that I learned in school. Like, I learned nothing about the Wild West. I was never exposed to the Wild West except for Hollywood. So that is why it's such a dumb take. Holy shit. Like, why do you think about the Roman Empire and not about the Chinese Empire? I'm willing to bet if I was to thinking about the Chinese Empire, he would complain, like, why are you not thinking about the Roman one? So, Associate Professor of Classic Head of Central for Classical Studies. Oh my god. There is much to ancient Rome. Literature, beautiful poetry, but that's not what it comes to this thread. Instead, he finds the common themes: sport, armies, and sex. Yeah. It's the things that men like. I don't understand why he is so shocked and surprised by it. This is, of course, a very particular slice of a complicated area. I think the men are thinking of, you know, gladiators who are like sports stars. They're not envisaging themselves as enslaved people. That is such a dumb take. So I actually saw some of the trends that he is talking about. Basically, there was an old man, and he was saying that the reason he is thinking of Rome is because in Rome they would give free bread and circus. So when society was going to shit, they were afraid of people rising up and having a rebellion. And the elites were afraid because there were more people than there were elites. So what they did was distract people with mindless entertainment and give them cheap food so they don't rise up. And the man is basically saying, this is what we're getting now, right? So he wasn't like glorifying the gladiators. He wasn't glorifying he was actually criticizing it, right? And this whole shit, it's like, oh, well, like, but there were people enslaved. Yeah, it was ancient times. Everywhere on the earth, there were people enslaved. It wasn't just like the Roman Empire, but like, even if you are a Roman citizen, and you decided to travel, and you left the Roman Empire, yeah, someone could enslave you. Like, the Romans could be made slaves as well. In fact, they were actually very prized as slaves if you happen to have, like, a Roman slave. But anyway, like, it's a different time period. We cannot use the morality we have today to look at the past. Like what the fuck did you want Romans to do? Like, make robots? Then why do you use slaves? Why couldn't they invent the steam engine? Like, the steam engine makes it so you don't need slaves. Why were they so backwards? Should have invented the steam engine, and then they should have invented robotics. Like, with robotics, you wouldn't have slaves. Fucking... Some TikTok talking about, you know, Rome was the best. But you must also think about the terrible effects of conquest and colonization. Listen, you twat. Holy shit. If you lived in ancient times now, which place on earth would you rather be? Oh, but no, colonialism. I don't fucking care. Pick. I'm sending you back in time. You have a time machine. Pick where you want to go. But my colonial... Pick. What I pick for you. Trust me, you don't want me to pick for you. I'm fucking believable. These people. Holy shit. There's an element of hypermasculinity to the fact section. Oh my fucking god. There should be an element of hypermasculinity. Like, you're not asking single men. You're asking married men. And you're asking men with girlfriends. Like, you're going to find elements of hypermasculinity. Because the men who aren't hypermasculine, they don't have girlfriends. Or wives. They're single. Until they become hypermasculine. Big dick energy is what you call it. I will make a very interesting choice. If he doesn't pick where he wants to be sent, I will send him for... Oh my god. You know, like, by the way, like, speaking of interesting choices, we actually don't really know what was happening in America during this time. Because the thing is, like, in Europe, there were... Okay, so there were, like, a couple of Germanic tribes, for example, which had a kill zone of a couple of 100 kilometers. So, no, unironically, like, there were individuals which would descend from the forest and then kill every man and woman inside that wasn't part of their tribe. It was kind of like a natural disaster, but caused by humans. Can you imagine that? Like, imagine living at the borders of the Roman Empire, and all of a sudden, for no reason, no provocation, no dialogue, you got these people coming up from the woods, killing everyone. Those people did not have a written language, but we know about them because other people who did have written language described them. And obviously, you know, the description might not be accurate. Like, a lot of people tend to demonize the enemy, so, you know, maybe they had, like, different reasons or justifying it for other reasons. I mean, but, like, I was always shocked by this. You know, like, imagine living in such a place where you're, like, always keeping an eye on the forest, not knowing what's behind there. And I guarantee to you, like, people embellish stuff, and they would be like, well, in the forest, there's evil spirits and whatever. And then you have, like, these people just randomly coming up with axes and shit, and they're butchering everyone, right? So, like, the reason we know about them is because people with written languages describe them. And then you have, like, the archaeological discoveries, right? So, like, you do find, it's like, okay, well, in this place that they described, oh, look, they do have, like, these ceremonial daggers and these ceremonial axes, and they were worshipping, like, maybe this god, and this is why they were doing it. But the point is, we actually know a little bit, right? So, like, the furthest back in history you go, the more difficult it is to actually know things. But in America, we don't, because no one had written languages. So, I mean, they did have, like, some sort of primitive writing in some empires, but, like, there is so much history in America that we genuinely do not know. Like, sure, we know about the Aztecs, we know about the Mayans, and we know about, like, some other tribes. But, like, what was happening in America, like, I don't know, 200 before Christ? Fuck knows. I would send this guy who was like colonialism and shit. I would send him there. Like, hey, you know what? Like, find out and tell me, like, please. I'm sending you to America. Like, find out. Tell me what it was there. You know, you get to actually discover. I don't think they had colonialism there. I don't know what they had. You know, maybe they had like that hippie civilization where they all joined hands and sing kumbaya and stuff. But I want you to report back to me. I want you to tell me what you found. By the way, there is like this really glorified version of I guess they call it the noble savage, right? Like I think Dance with the Wolves is the one that coined it. And the whole concept is that when the colonialists went into the United States, when the colonialists went to America, they found a group of people that were in touch with nature, and they were very friendly and peaceful towards each other. But through the evil of colonialism, right, they were forced into doing things like scalping and other. Now the thing is, when you actually read history, right, you will find out that the indigenous people in America, and this may shock a lot of leftists, but it's true. They were human beings, okay? Like, they weren't that different than the Europeans. The only difference is that they lacked the technology. For some reason in America, horses didn't exist. So, like, horses were actually brought by the Europeans. But without horses, animal husbandry becomes incredibly difficult. So without animal husbandry, without easy means of transportation, they didn't have, like, the same level of technology like the Europeans did, right? So they were still human beings, and human beings are very territorial. Like, this may shock people, but it's true. Like the reason we do not have, like, the same old conflicts for land and for conquest is because they're not needed anymore. In the way that, you know, we can build upwards so everyone can have a house now. We have developed agricultural and farming techniques that with a small plot of land you can feed thousands of people. So that's why, like, but like, humans are still territorial. Look at the Sandpiker, he got a fucking mansion. Look at the Black Lives Matter activists, like, they're buying mansions that you can use to house an entire village. Like, these individuals, they do this because they're human beings and they are territorial, so they want as much land as possible. It's normal. And the people that lived in America were the same, right? But they genuinely, like, wanted land. And when you look at the difference between Europeans and Indians, I don't know if we should call them Indians, though, like indigenous people, right? Because, like, they're not from India. But the way Europeans used to do battle, they didn't used to do this in ancient times. Like, in ancient times, things were different. But when they would do battle, like, one country would summon an army, and the other country would summon another army, and they would meet on the battlefield. They would, like one part would become victorious, and then they would conquer the rest, right? So that's how, like, the Europeans did battle, especially, like, during the colonial era. And there were, like, still things that were considered to be war crimes and certain behaviors that were unacceptable. But, like, don't get me wrong, you know, war is war. Like there were still rapes and pillages and all the nasty shit. Like, I'm not going to pretend that they were, like, nobles either, but it was, like, a little bit different. Like people knew about it. It's like, okay, it's a formal declaration of war. We're now in wartime. Like, we need to summon the army. Like, the army meets on the battlefield. Okay, we lost. Now we're at their mercy, right? But what would happen, like, if you read a little bit about how people in America behaved, there was no declaration of war. Like, they would come in the middle of the night and murder everyone in the other group. So like, if a tribe decided to, like, wage war against another tribe, there was, like, no formal declaration of war. They wouldn't raise an army. Like, they would just send people in the middle of the night, and while the other people were asleep, stab, 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 stab. And of course, you know, like, the survivors, the women and some of the men that survived would be taken in as slaves, depending for, like, human sacrifices, labor, like, depending on, like, which tribes were worrying with the other. So that now there was, like, a culture shock, let's put it like this, because, again, like, the Europeans had different way of doing things, right? So like, imagine you're a colonist, and if you're a colonist, you're setting out your little Jamestown wannabe. You're like on that plot of land, and you're, like, doing stuff, and then you go to a neighboring village, and you find that not only everyone is dead, but, like, they're scalped, they're dismembered, they're displayed in interesting positions, and you're like, wow, Well, can we negotiate with these individuals? Probably not. Bring the gun. We gotta defend ourselves, right? So this would cause a little bit of miscommunication between groups, you know? Because like if there was like a formal declaration of war, like let's say it would be the other way around, like you have a group of Americans, you know, going into Europe and they're trying to colonize Europe. Well, like what would happen is like they would probably get initially like they would get a diplomat or an emissary or someone, and they would be like, all right, well, we want you off this land. And they will be like, we don't want to go off the land. And it's like, all right, well then better raise your army because we're coming. And then there would be like a formal army on a battlefield waiting for them, you know, like, kind of like that. Definitely like not in the middle of the night, like stab, stab, stab. So yeah, do you know the whole thing about the Trail of Tears? They had African American slaves traveling with them. I didn't know that. I think no, wait, I actually do know a little bit about that. But yeah. Imagine lining up in a straight line to engage the enemy. They actually did that in since the Napoleon era, and they did that because it was like the most effective way to fight. The reason they would line up is because like they managed to develop a way to automatic fire with single shot rifles, if that makes sense. So basically the first line would fire, they would kneel, they would start reloading their weapons, second line moves forward, fires, kneels, reloads their weapons. So you have like a constant barrage of bullets. And it was like the most effective way to fight. The weapons that they had back then wouldn't like allow for modern warfare. Always take into account that the way people fight, even if we look at it and it's bizarre, you need to take into account two things. Number one, the technology that was available at that time. And number two, you gotta also take into account that the people that they were fighting against is also very important. Right? So like if you're fighting against an opponent that uses a certain tactic, you may use that tactic, but it may not be as effective to use it against another opponent. Napoleon innovated military tactics a bunch. Yeah, but like the fighting line was still used. Like the thing that I described. But anyway, right, so I'll probably end it here. I'll make a video on my main channel about the Roman Empire, because I find like this guy to be absolutely hilarious. Hopefully you guys liked a little bit of history lesson, and thank you for the donations. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Sorry for not showing skin. I'll try to fix my phone. I don't know what happened.